of this crisis? Well, I reached out to Hunter Leonard. For 30 years, he's worked with over 500 clients. He's improved revenues by $2 billion over that period of time. And he's written 5 books on marketing. He's going to go through the rapid formula for rethinking your marketing in crazy freaking times. He's also just a legend. He's going to give you access to a bunch of his books and that sort of stuff as well, just as a free gift. But if you're thinking about how to prioritize marketing, how to roll out a pilot program to test some new messaging, and how to go about it all at no cost before you put money behind ads, Hunter's your guy. So I hope you enjoy Hunter Leonard. So you're about to sit in on a session from one of our crisis reinvention team, but let me give you some quick context. When COVID started to seriously impact businesses, we mobilized experts from within the Dent community to be able to help business leaders like yourself navigate the difficult decisions across a variety of topics, including how to access finance and grants, to cash management, to human resource law, to marketing and sales strategies, to cool tools and tech that you can use from home, through to high stakes leadership, health, wellness, stress management, not just for yourself, but for your team, and look, a whole lot more. For the full schedule, with more being added every week, visit dent.global/reinvent, and we hope you find it a useful resource. All right, let's do this.
G'day everyone, it's Hunter Leonard here from Blue Frog Marketing. I hope you're well. This video is part of Dent's Crisis Reinvention series, started by Glenn Carlson, so I'm happy to be with you. We're going to spend the next 25 or 30 minutes or so just going over some tools that you can use to use strategic marketing to recover from a crisis. That may be a reinvention. It also may be, for some of you, a complete reset, which is understandable. Now, before I get started, obviously there are going to be some things that you need to do or are doing in regards to finances and people and other things in your organisation. And those things are really critical to get done first, because you do need to buy yourself a bit of breathing space or some time in order to prepare a good strategic marketing plan. Now, I've been involved in marketing for probably 30 years. I've written a couple of books. My first book, Marketing Has No Off Switch, was written in 2009. It was actually written just after the global financial crisis. And the whole book was dedicated to that concept that marketing doesn't have an off switch. In other words, it needs to keep going right through a crisis. The fundamental premise of that book was based on some research that was done that showed that companies that continued to promote and continued to market themselves actually recovered much faster from market crises that affected either them as an individual company or indeed a more systemic thing like the global financial crisis, or of course like the situation that we're all going through right now. The one thing I would like to point out is that a good marketing plan can help you recover. It's a core part of the activities that you're going to put in place with your business. Unfortunately, nearly 80% of businesses don't have a marketing plan. So certainly encourage you to take some of the information out of this, and also some information and resources that I'm going to give you at the end of the video to get on to preparing your plan for your marketing of your business as soon as you can. Once, of course, you've got those urgent actions out of the way and you've bought yourself a bit of breathing space. There are some exact steps to getting your marketing right. Now, I'll introduce you to a model that we use and we've been using for nearly 15 years now, and it's called the rapid model of marketing. Now, it's a 5-step process, and interestingly, I mentioned just briefly before that 80% of business owners don't have a marketing plan. What we found in our surveys of over 1,200 businesses is that most business owners start at step number 4, which is the I step. I stands for implement. It could also be called the tactics or the promotion program that you're running for a business. So in other words, they're not doing the 3 steps before that, and it's where a lot of businesses get into trouble. And it's also where you can align your plan and your program with some really good market intelligence. So we're going to go through that model one step at a time as well. One of the things I'd like to urge you to consider is not reaching for the Hail Mary or the magic bullet, because the fact is, when a systemic change happens in a market like this, it can take some time to reset your bearings, to reset your plans, and it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. So you have to, I guess, put in place the thought process that you need to do a bit of hard work. It might seem boring at times, but I have been using this model for a number of years. It has got us through good times and bad with many of our clients, and also with our own business. The GFC, also a time where I remember I was overseas in Bali on a family holiday, and I opened the newspaper and found out that one of our major clients had all of their products recalled. So we lost them as a client almost immediately. They represented something like 50% of our income. And so that certainly taught me a lesson about adversity and times of stress, and it also proved to me the point that having a good plan in place can help you recover faster. And also, I'd also make the point that strategy is 100 times more important than tactics. What do I mean by that? I mean a marketing plan is many more times more important than a social media post or an advertisement or a brochure or any of those tactical things that you might do in communicating your brand to the marketplace. I will explain why that's the case as I go through. So I'm going to cover a few key bits in this chat. I'm going to talk about getting clarity when all you hear is noise, and I'm sure all of you are feeling that at the moment. There's an enormous amount of noise going on in all channels. 99.99% of it is talking about the virus, and very little of the communication is not related to the virus and people trying to continue their communication of their company. So a lot of businesses have had their attention completely diverted to talking about the virus, which sure, it has to be part of our plans. Let's not put that aside. But it seems like it's diverted far too much of the attention of companies in terms of their planning and response to the situation. I guess my point is the virus is not the main game. It's serious. It's something we need to be aware of, but we have to remember that there's a long-term game at play here, and many of us have businesses that we need to make sure they survive and then flourish and prosper on the other side of this situation. So that's really important. I'm also going to talk about how you can use marketing in a smart way to reconnect to your existing customers that might have had to put work on pause, and also to find new ones when perhaps these dramatic changes have impacted your business, basically completely changing the way you need to do business in the future, or you've lost so much of your business that it's going to take a complete reset to do that. I'm going to talk about the exact steps of getting your marketing right as opposed with this model, and I'm also going to answer a few of the frequently asked questions we get from customers about their marketing as well. So I hope you enjoy this. So let's get started. So the first thing is we've got a lot of noise going on, and the purpose of this entire model actually is to reduce noise. So if you considered the Pacific Ocean in terms of a large amount of water, and that's made up of billions and trillions of drops of water, well, just a few of those drops of water are what are important to you in your market, but you have to find them. And the way you do that is by using a model like this. So let's take that step by step very briefly and talk through it. Step number one, the R stands for research. The purpose of research is to understand your market, your customers, your competitors, and also yourself. So consider this to be the collection of all of the data that you need in order to put your marketing plan together. So this will be information on how big the market is, how many customers there are, how many customers look like they'll be ideal clients for you, what the competitors are doing, what's going on in the marketplace, what's the total accessible market that you might be competing for within your particular market. It could include surveys of customers, it could include information from the Australian Bureau of Statistics or from a professional association related to your product or service. It's basically the collection of all of that information into one place. Companies rarely go far enough on this. So they might look and find the key demographics of their audience that they're trying to target, but they don't go to the step of understanding those particular customers in terms of how they perhaps make decisions about the product and service that that company might be selling. So let's take an example from our surveys. We found that probably 80 to 85% of all of the small businesses we surveyed were on social media, but the confidence in their marketing was rated at an average of only 4 out of 10. So what that's saying to me is that whilst they are in the majority using social media, and some were using that almost exclusively, they're not confident that it was working for them. So what's occurring here is that business owners are being driven to use social media or online marketing, all of these particular solutions, because most of the information they're getting is coming from either Google or Facebook or LinkedIn. And of course, you wouldn't ask Google or Facebook or LinkedIn whether you should advertise on their channel, because of course they have a conflict of interest. They're not necessarily going to tell you the real answer, because their advertising dollar resolves on you making the decision to invest in that space. Most business owners don't have a marketing plan, so they're running on implementing the marketing, whether that be social media, whether it be advertising, whether it be Google Ads or blog articles or videos or whatever, but they're also not then doing the step after that, which is the measurement of what is being done to see what's actually working. And because they haven't done the first 3 steps, the research, analyze and plan steps, then this implement step is also not being directed well. What do I mean by that? Well, once you've collected all of the information about the marketplace, the next step is to analyze that information and to pull out the things that are important to you. So what might be important? Let's take an example. One of our clients is a brick and paving company. We could collect a whole lot of research on the building of houses, the renovation of houses, which are the main customers that particular client has. But the things that are most important are who is building, where are they building, what are they building with, and how do they make decisions about purchasing things like bricks and pavers. So we would want to pull that sort of information out because that will guide us as to who the most ideal client is for us, but also how they're going about making the decisions on purchasing bricks and pavers. So if we find that 100%, and this is not real data, but 100% of those audiences are using friends to ask questions about bricks and pavers, or they're going straight to a tradesperson, and they're not searching on Google, or not buying online, or not checking out social media, then none of those channels are going to be any use to us in terms of promoting our products. So we're going to be basically wasting a lot of money here if we don't find out here how and who is the audience we need to target, and how are they making decisions about that particular product. Now, the same person may use completely different decision-making processes for different types of products. So their decision-making process, or how they go about deciding and how they go about researching a product and service, might be different if they were buying a house to if they were going out and buying a coffee, for example. So you can see that it's really important as a business owner to have done your research and then to pull down the information that's important to you in terms of your product and service out of that information, so that you can guide yourself on the next step, which is P, P stands for plan, and that's actually taking the most important information and putting it into the objectives, the goals, assigning resources that you might spend on your marketing, also your value proposition to your market. So what do they value? What do they want to hear about in regards to bricks and pavers, for example? Is it the style? Is it the colour? Is it the fact that they can be delivered on time? Is it the price? All of these elements are gleaned from the research and analysis steps and then put into the plan here, where you start talking about value, the resources that you're going to spend on your marketing, and then also your objectives in regards to your business. So you can see that if we're in a time of crisis, then resetting your knowledge of the market, because let's face it, things have changed for you. They're obviously going to have changed for your clients. So we need to find out as quickly as possible, in order to recover from a crisis, what's changed. So what did we know before? How have our clients changed? Are they buying in a different way? Are they not buying? Are they buying less? Are they buying something else that's more cost effective for them? Whatever's going on, we need to reset by doing some more surveys and resetting an understanding of that. Now, the fact is, right in the middle of a crisis, they may not know. So it might be that you have to give them a bit of breathing space as well before you jump in with a survey to ask them what's going on. But in any event, you're going to need to reset your knowledge of what's going on in the marketplace. My view is that in many different segments of the marketplace, they're going to rebound directly straight back to the old behaviours, but there's going to be some markets that are going to change as a result. For instance, in the paper this morning, there was discussions about the AFL in Melbourne, that might become a semi-professional league. In other words, people will have players will have a job, and then they'll also play football on the weekend, which is the way sport used to be 50 years ago. But that might be a systemic change to the fact that we don't have fully professional footballers anymore, because they need to have a second income that's giving them less exposure to problems like this that might occur in the future. So recovery from crisis, it's the same model. It's about going back to the basics, understanding your market, the competitors, what's going on with your clients, doing some assessment and analysis. Now, things like this might seem boring, but the old school SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, those sorts of tools are incredibly important to using a strategic marketing plan. So you'll have learned something about yourself in the last little while during this crisis, about your own business. What are the strengths and weaknesses? What did you run into straight away? Was it a complete decline in income over a couple of days? Was it the fact that perhaps you didn't have enough reserves aside, or some other, you were too exposed to one or two clients? One of my learnings from the Bali situation, where I lost 50% of my income pretty much overnight, was that we came back and wrote a policy that we didn't want to have any client responsible for more than 20% of our income. So a minimum 5 clients at 20% each of revenue, and anytime one of our clients gets above a certain percentage of revenue, I start to try and look at reducing that by getting further clients in order to manage risk across the business. So that was something that I learnt out of that crisis, the Bali crisis, which was specific to my business, and certainly something that we were messaging in the Marketing Has No Off Switch book for our clients. We did a roadshow with National Australia Bank at that time, and went over with, I think, something like 5,000 business owners over the course of 17 seminars, where we talked about this concept of rapid, the strategic planning that you needed to recover, the fact that you needed a marketing plan in place, and that was going to restore you quicker if you were well organised and you'd got rid of all of the noise out of your marketplace in terms of your understanding, so that you had a clear path forward for your business. So we can then get to the implement step, which is, if you like, your promotion program for your business. So now, of course, as Dent alumni, we know the five Ps. Publishing a book, for example, is part of our marketing program, but it might be delivering workshops. It's your P4P programs. There might be some advertising going on. You might have a website with landing pages and funnels and all that sort of thing. But you can probably see by now that the implementation of your marketing plan is far more clear, far more focused if you've gone through those first three steps. So the research, analyze, and plan. Now, just getting to the last step then. D stands for detect. I chose that because M for measure didn't sound as good. So D for detect, and that is really just assessing what you're doing in your marketing program to see what's working. So one of the really important things in recovering from a crisis is, of course, you've got to make every post a winner. You've got to make sure that every dollar you're spending on implementation, every hour of your time, every investment of energy that you're putting into your promotion of your business is actually contributing to a return on investment, which is what you're checking in the detect step. So everything you do from now on, once you've done your plan, is test and measure to see what's working, because you want to, as quickly as possible, remove all of the wasted effort. And I'm sure all of us have that in our business. There's wasted effort that doesn't result in a monetized income for us in the business. In other words, profitable revenue. And if anything, we're trying to speed up this process in recovery from a crisis, because I'm sure many of you are looking for the quick wins, the quick revenue sources, to get back to a level that's sustainable for you in terms of your personal income, or keeping your staff on, or all of those other things that we've all got some concern about right now. I'm using this process myself. I have rewritten the marketing plan for both of my businesses in the last week or so. I have started creating new programs and services based on the surveys that I've done. We've got less exposure to one or two clients than we used to, but we've still had an impact from some of our clients. So it's really important. It was important for me to handle the finance side of things first, to handle the communication with the existing clients, but also then to get straight onto planning what's going to happen next in terms of both of our businesses. So really, really important. So I think probably that's also answered for you why strategy is more important than tactics. It'd be a bit like the tail wagging the dog, if you like. Done right, you've got your research, your analyze, and your plan steps, which are informing the implementation step. So this is less risky already, because you've generated it based on a far deeper understanding of your market, your customers, your competitors, and also yourself. Trying to do this without this is tantamount to suicide, in my opinion. I think it's you're putting your business at risk. You're really in the danger zone, and over 20 years I've been proven right more times than wrong in regards to the fact that it really takes a good strategic plan to get a result at the end here in the detect. So I'll just use a few minutes now just to go over some of the frequently asked questions that we get. The first one I often get asked is, what channel should I use to communicate to the market? Now, if you've done your work here, then that question often gets answered, or at least you come down to maybe just a few choices. We all know there's thousands of ways, thousands of channels, plenty of media people, plenty of advertisers, advertising buyers, etc., who are wanting to get you to spend your money with them, including Google and Facebook and LinkedIn, etc. But good research will inform you about the decision making of your customers. Therefore, the choice of the 4, 5, 6 marketing plan or programs that you're going to implement in your plan and measuring is going to be a lot easier based on using that model. How do you find out what's going to work? Test and measure. it really is. It really doesn't matter how much research you do. You're still going to have to trial a bunch of marketing programs and then measure them as quickly as possible so that you can drop out anything that isn't working and keep going, or even strengthening what is working and putting more investment into the things that is working. So that's how you're going to find out what's going to work. You've got to run through the strategic process. Another question I get asked is, how much should I spend on marketing? Well, my viewpoint on this is any dollar spent that returns a good return on investment, in other words, a profitable return, is good money spent. So there's no hard and fast rule about spending 1%, 3%, 5%, 10% of your revenue on marketing. It does depend on industries. There's certain industries that spend a lot more on marketing, cosmetics, for example, but then they're very high margin industries, so they do spend a lot more on advertising their brand. So I can't really answer how much you should spend on your marketing, but what I can say is if you plan from zero up, in other words, pilot things with a small budget, test them, make sure they're working, and then put more money to the ones that are working, then you will be on the right path, if you like. Another question I get is, why are existing relationships and partners important? And this is really, really critical. If you think about an onion, it has a number of layers or layers of skin on it. When you cut it up, you'll see those layers when you're cooking. At the center of it, imagine you're at the center of the onion, then the layer closest to you is your existing customers. The reason they're more important is because they know you. They trust you. They've seen what you can deliver, and despite the fact that there might have been a short-term crisis, they're more likely to come back to you because they already know you as a supplier of whatever goods and services you are doing. There's also plenty of research to say that trying to find a new customer is up to 10 times more expensive than keeping or re-engaging with an existing customer or recently lapsed customer. So same goes for partners. If they've been referring people to you in the past and there's been a short-term hiatus in that for whatever reason, it could be a crisis, it could be a crisis for their business, it could be a systemic crisis like the one we're going through right now. But if I could encourage you in terms of your marketing plan is to take a moment to get a piece of paper and write down everyone who is close to your business, who you know, who knows you, and focus on those communication relationships as soon as possible now. One of the first questions would be just finding out how they're going and how you can help them. So don't always be trying to find out how they can help you. The old JFK statement, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Use that personal network to get out and find out what's going on and see how you can help them. And in the course of that, you'll also see that they'll help you as well. Just in the last week or so, we decided just to offer all of our books and courses for free. And in the last few days, we've signed up, I think, 60 business owners to do those courses. Now, I'm not expecting anything out of it. I really just did it to try and help a few people, to give them a course on this rapid marketing process, and also our other business, Silver and Wise. But all of those people are new connections for our business in the future. So at some point, hopefully that PR of us helping them will result in some referrals or income in the future. I'm not worried about it, but I just wanted to find out a way that I could help. It wasn't going to cost me a lot of time and money because I've got a few things I need to handle for our existing clients. But it's been a good exercise in helping out others as well. So have a think about how you can do that. How do you get new customers? Well, this might sound a little bit sort of counterintuitive or the reverse, but basically how you get new customers is by delivering to the existing ones. So it's the same point that if in the next few weeks you can re-engage with some of your recent relapsed or existing clients to grow your revenue base and you deliver on your promises, then you're going to get word of mouth and referral. It's absolutely guaranteed. The better you deliver on your promises for existing customers, the easier it is to get new customers. If you play the role of if you're going out hunting instead of farming. In other words, you're always looking for new customers. It's a bit like I said earlier, it's like the Hail Mary, it's the magic bullet. It's also far more expensive because you've got to first get to know you and take them through a whole process. So you can see they're many steps away from where an existing customer or an existing partner is. So I'd encourage you to consider this onion skin or the layers approach first. Start at who knows you and who you know first, and then go out to who they know, and then go out to brand new customers, because as you go out further it becomes more expensive, more difficult, and more time involved to get them to the point where they're providing a profitable revenue stream for you. So you do get them by understanding your ideal audience and finding out where they are and how they make decisions, the whole rapid process. But you've also got to start with this idea of the closest to you first, and then move out to new customers and new prospects second. How do you market with no money? You market with no money by using the existing customers and your partnerships. This is obviously one of the 5 Ps. Partnerships are incredibly important. So if I were you, I'd be redoing the exercise of 100 partners. If a lot of your partners have dropped off because of the crisis, then find who's the next 50 partners that you can engage with. They may come from your existing network, you just never formally activated them as partners, but that's really the only way to market with no money is as a KPI, you already have a benefit of being an acknowledged expert, or you're moving towards being an acknowledged expert in your area, which is going to give you cachet. But really, marketing with no money relies on existing relationships and partners and word of mouth. So that's really important. And also this concept of delivering on your promises with existing customers, because that activates people to refer when they're really delighted with what you've done. I guess the last one is probably a more crisis-specific question. That is, should I keep promoting or just hold off until it blows over? My advice here is just outflow and promote. Get your plan together. Do that as soon as you can, but at the same time, just keep communicating, because it's the loss of the communication between you and your customers and you and the market which is probably the most damaging result of any crisis or any change. If you pull back, if you stop writing articles, if you stop posting on your social media, if you stop communicating with customers because they're not giving you any revenue, if you stop communicating with partners because you're not getting referrals, that just contributes to you pulling inwards and to your future demise in your business. So you really should keep promoting. The research proves that businesses that keep promoting right through a crisis will escalate and flourish and prosper on the other side of the crisis quicker than those businesses that pulled up stumps and stopped communicating. This doesn't mean you have to continue to spend lots and lots of money. Of course, you might have to pull back on your ad spend or your promotional spend or your brochures or whatever else. Go to electronic instead of printing them. Just do whatever you can to save money, of course. But saving money is not the same as stopping promoting. And a lot of businesses connect those two things up. They say, right, we've got to stop marketing. So they stop the marketing budget, but they also then stop communicating. So your challenge is to find as many ways as you possibly can to keep promoting through this crisis. Of course, be humane, be caring, be responsible with your communication, but keep promoting and keep being out there as a sane opinion leader as to what solutions people have out there. I would suggest not leading with the virus on every single communication, because I think pretty much people are turning off that now. They may be trying to keep up to date with stuff, but at the moment they're drowning in communications that start with our response to the coronavirus. My suggestion is avoid that and just focus on the main game, which is promoting your products and services. Okay, so that's it for me. I hope that's been helpful. One of the things I wanted to do just as part of this program, and Glenn's asked us to do this, is what I can give you in terms of resources. So these are my two books. These are printed copies, but I have electronic copies of both of those. So if you find me on LinkedIn and send me a note, or send me an email to hunter@bluefrogmarketing.com.au, I will send you an electronic copy of both of those books. As I said, this particular book I wrote after the GFC in 2009. This was my first book. So some of the tactics might be a little bit out of date, but the strategy is the same. I can guarantee that we're still implementing exactly the same strategic model. And then the other book, which is a more recent one, Get Your Marketing Cooking, combines my passion of cooking and marketing. It actually explains marketing in the context of cooking as an analogy. There's also plenty of really cool recipes in there. So if you're housebound and you want some good recipes, such as lamb with saganaki and roasted eggplant, then you'll get those in there as a bit of a bonus as well. I also have 2 courses, one course based on each of the books, which you read part of the book and then you do some practical exercises. One has about 40 practical exercises, the other one has a little over 50, I think, practical exercises. So those courses normally valued about 125 each, 250 for the 2, but I'll also send you enrollment in both of those courses for no cost as well, so complimentary as well as my books. So hopefully that'll help you get your plan together, and then you can start using strategic marketing to recover from this crisis for your business. That's it from me, Hunter Leonard from Blue Frog Marketing. I look forward to seeing you soon at one of the Dent events when we can all get together face to face again, and hope you're doing well. Take care. Bye.
For more expert talks, just visit dent.global/reinvent, because we believe that the decisions that you make now matter more than ever. We started Dent 10 years ago in the middle of the GFC in London, and we shared the key person of influence methodology as a tool to be able to help businesses thrive despite the chaos. Today, it's a best-selling book, and over 3,000 businesses use the methodology like an operating system for driving performance. And we've learned that regardless of economic conditions, that your primary focus as a founder should be showing up as the go-to brand, the key person of influence in your industry. More important than systems or social media, more important than Facebook videos or launching a website, the goal of showing up as the key person of influence in your industry should be the organizing force. It should be the primary objective that helps align all your other decision making. Because as your influence and reach expands, it becomes easier and cheaper to attract clients, team, media, even investors. When times are tough, it's the key people of influence that become even more valuable and even more in demand. And if you've been in business for a while, you're probably a lot closer than you think. So every week that this COVID-19 thing continues, I'm going to be hosting a weekly talk to be able to help business leaders like yourself recalibrate their focus so they can make the most of the times that we're in. If you're interested in jumping on a Zoom and saying hi with me, you can find the link to register for my sessions as well as all of the crisis response team sessions at dent.global/reinvent. If you found this useful, let us know. My name's Glenn Carlson, and please be brave, have fun. Let's go make a dent in the universe.